Universal was the largest company. Sony was right behind them, and Warner was a distant three. The gentleman that owned Universal was Edgar Bronfman.
Edgar and I changed the name to Universal. Jimmy ran the West Coast, and I ran the East Coast. Well, it was a small company before that. Jimmy came over, and within the first year and a half, he had the number 1, 2, 3, 4 albums in the country.
Doug's first and last sentence always is, do they have one song? Created more executives and more artists than anybody probably ever.
Well, the strategy was to fill it with urban music. I don't think a record company can really be successful without urban music, the roots of our music. And we had Death Row, bought Def Jam, we acquired Cash Money, and just with those 3 companies, we probably had 45% of all the urban music in America.
What was it like for you guys, especially for you, to see how your core was being limited, very limited airplay? So people are saying, look, we didn't get to listen to most of the other albums because it wasn't getting much airplay and promotion because hip hop was pushed in. What was it like from the inside as an artist?
It was horrible. I can remember, again, being on the Face Records, and I seen the shift coming when, when Arista Records shut down and all the artists had to go over to Jive Records, and then L.A. Reid, he went over to Def Jam. I seen a shift then. I knew something was happening. But for me, man, I mean, it really didn't bother me as much as it should have, because by then I had already left New York and I had moved down here to Atlanta, so I can raise my family, So, when those things happen, man, I the way things are now, I really feel like there was an agenda to dumb down the music, because, quite naturally, man, the powers that be, they know that music heals. Music heals the soul. It teaches, and they also know that, well, if we give a few people some money, we can fuck up the whole population if we allow a few people to send the wrong message. So now a lot of people are sending the damn wrong message, because if I'm a young guy and I want to be a songwriter and I see this is what's selling, then that's what I'm gonna start writing. I'm not gonna write some good stuff. I'm gonna write whatever is selling. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a decision made by somebody higher up to say, okay, let's get away from this and let's start doing this.
It's a different game today. It's a different game. And one of the things you got to understand is much different than when we were operating. We couldn't operate like the way we were today. Because today you have to be a part of the artist. So when you bring an artist to a company, one, you got to have 3-4 million streams already. And with that comes $65 million, like Cardi B is getting a single. All right. Okay. Now, if you just come with an artist that can sing today and go talk about you're not getting signed, you will get like Jill Scott right now. I'm not trying to say anything bad. She can't get $25,000 right now for marketing or a record or anything from a company like Universal. Cardi B could get $60 million a single right now.
Wow.
And the reason why is because, they have no interest in R&B records like that. That kind of music, they have no interest. These kids, they're not going to buy it. And adults, they don't want to buy it. They'll buy a single. They're not going to support the artist. And so if the artist is not going on tour, they're not making money, because they're not making any money off their records.
Wow.
The music industry is now, the chart is, instead of having a hip hop chart, it's hip hop R&B. And then finally it's adult contemporary. So now R&B doesn't have its own chart anymore. It's hip hop R&B. So you see it gradually changing. First you had hip hop, now it's intertwined with hip hop. So that's making it smaller. Then it's okay, let's just take them all the way off and put them over here on adult contemporary. Which that stung, because now you're not only moving R&B artists we deserve our own chart. Let's just keep it that way.
Yeah.
But we never deserved a chart to be combined with hip hop. Hip hop deserves its own chart, don't you think?
Yeah.
So my thing is, everybody deserves their own chart. But then to take the R&B chart and instead of just giving it back to R&B, you say adult contemporary. So now, what does that do?
Yeah, I mean, I always used to think of adult contemporary was, Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle, like, really, the legends, but that stuff that, you don't necessarily, you don't go out and buy because, an 18-year-old college kid won't they don't think they're adults and stuff. So, yeah, and you don't really look at that chart.
Yeah, there you go. So now you're in a corner. Yeah. Now, as an R&B artist, you're put in a corner because your chart is adult contemporary, and you're nothing if you don't jump on a hip hop track with somebody and do a hook.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna a Jill Scott record, you might sell 100,000 copies right now on a single. You got somebody like Little Uzi or Boozy or Woozy or whatever his name is. He put out a single and make $60 million off of it. And get 500 million streams.
So it's a different game, and so is it the
totally different game? Totally different game. You're not getting signed off of talent. You're getting signed off of how many followers you have, how many streams you have. That's what it is. Kim Kardashian makes more money than any artist, period. Record, period. She makes more money than Justin Bieber. She don't sing a word. Her just streams. She gets paid.
Wow.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
The R&B singers, they all lost their deals. How very few of them that maybe are still on the contract, maybe Chris Brown, but a lot of the biggest stars from Keith Sweat to all of them all sort of lost their major deals. Did you then ever think about reaching out and collaborating with them on stuff, or how did you just think, let me just focus on my... Okay.
It's crazy you asked that question, man. That's the biggest problem in our industry, is that we cannot come together.
Wow.
It's a sad travesty, bro, because we cannot come together. Like if I try, okay, I work with Maxine Jones from In Vogue. I did a record with Glenn Jones. I've talked to Carl Thomas. I mean, I've had some people I've reached out to, your boy from Blackstreet. I'm just giving quick names.
Teddy or
Soul for Real. Jace from Soul for Real. People like that, man. I've had some opportunities, but it's what it is these cats know they've been in the game. You can't tell them nothing. You can't. They can't get past their own previous success to say, okay, I'm gonna let somebody who ain't been in the deal, had a deal, produce me.
See, that was that phase. Yeah. That was that phase after 2003. It was, as an R&B artist, you had to jump on something and do a hook.
Yeah.
Because now hip hop is taking over.
Yeah.
So there's no real.
And the labels were merging, and there was no uniqueness. There was like just you had. It was Sony BMG, it was Universal, and there was Warner, and it was like, okay, we're merging everyone else up and just removing that identity and stuff.
Because when we came out, we were singing about love. The thing about R&B back then was that you had Maxwell, D'Angelo, me, you had Usher, you had R. Kelly, Joe,
Brian McKnight,
Eric Benet, Chico DeBarge. I mean, you had a lot of, you had Carl Thomas, Dave Hollister. The funny thing about it is that we all sang R&B, but we all had our own styles. Nobody sounded the same. And we all sang about love in different ways. You had some guys was more about sex, some guys was more about relationships, other guys were about both.
what was your relationship with the other bands, other groups that were out there about that time?
I always tell people like the 90s was so much fun. Like when you got on tour with Guy and and Teddy Riley, and when you get on a tour, it was like fun for you because you just want to go back to the dressing room. You kind of want to be the first one to go on. So you can go back to the dressing room, take the sweat off your face and watch. It was like such a great experience because you had so many great people on that tour that you loved, you honestly loved them. Like I would say, even with the girl artists, like with all the girl groups, it was just like so many, but none the same, none the same. And you could go to a show that had SWV on the lineup, In Vogue on the lineup, Escape on the lineup. I can keep going, Changing Faces, Jeanne, let's do that. Let's do Jeanne. Even if you had Changing Faces and Jeanne, you could close your eyes and you would know each and every group that was on that show. You would know the difference. So that's what I loved because you were able, every vibe was different. You know what I'm saying? It was no one like the other. And that's what made that time fun. Even for guy groups, maybe there may have been a couple, that, because men, their voices, because sometimes the range is not as, but outside of that, you can close your eyes and kind of know who's on that stage singing. And that's what I loved about the 90s. Because everybody had their own thing and they were not trying to be who they weren't. They were true to who they are. And I think that's why we felt the music so much.
Yeah. Is the power shifting to the artist in a sense?
The power shifting to the artist and the producer and the writer. If they know what if you don't know what you're doing, if you take an advance and they say, well, I'll give you $2 million, $3 million, and then you take it and then, just sign over your publishing to me and your rights to me, you fucked yourself. But most of these artists, they heard the tragedy stories already. They heard the locks, they heard all the stories already. They're not doing that. Cardi B is coming in the room like, I own everything. I own my name. I own license my name. I copyrighted it, and instead of you guys giving me 4 cents a stream, I want 25 cents, or else I'm not doing shit.
Wow.
Jill Scott can't come in there, and Erykah Badu can't come in. They can't demand that. Jodeci can't come in. They can't. They don't care. They're like, I'd rather you not be on my label.
Yeah, just because they're not going to get the streams because no one's going to be interested. I mean, Cardi B can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When I did speak to Jimmy Love Jenkins, who was a former VP of promotions at Uptown, he pretty much said, it was the labels invested in the hip hop because they could get more money, more traction from it than the investment in the R&B and stuff. So. But you just thought, I'm not going to try and sell it because I'm surprised you didn't get some hip hop guy to be on your record and then almost piggyback off of that. But you decided to just go straight R&B.
I'm just going to do R&B. I mean, I might put some rap on my stuff just because if a record just calls for like a little dope, little 8, 16 bars or something, that's different than just a hip hop record. And just, I'm good. I will no longer abort the R&B mission. Yeah. And that's where I'm at with it. I'm straight R&B ride or die until the wheels fall off, and I'm unapologetic, and so I just trying to push people in a position to rekindle their relationship with rhythm and blues because they don't know they need it until they hear it. Hear what it's.
And these new artists are in control of their publishing more so than we were back then. They get everything. There are no masters now. There's no big giant tapes. Masters is digital. So I own that. I'm owning everything. They don't even know what they're asking to own. They know that you're supposed to own everything. That when we were doing it, Universal will not let you own everything. You're not owning everything. You're not even owning 5% of your shit.
Wow.
Very quietly. Just trying to carve out a niche and do what I can do, man, and keep doing what I do. It's tough work being independent because I gotta do it all, wear all the hats. And so by the time I get to taking off my CEO hat, admin hat, promotions hat. I'm mentally in a place where singing is probably the last thing I really want to do because I'm focused on so much more. So being able to do the singing becomes tougher because I got to get in the mindset because I'm so worn out from all the other hats I got to wear. I put it on the table, my guy. I'm very transparent about this business. When I have great days, I want people to know this is a good day. When a good moment. You know, when I won the best new indie artist and had a #1 indie soul record, which we didn't get into the Being Gentle song. That's a whole nother story, but that whole record. So, but, you know, by the time I get to singing and want to be on the stage and ready to start back performing, I'm tired because it's like this business is exhausting. So when I have bad days, I make that clear too. So.
You know, and I think that what's going on today is the fact that a lot of people sound the same. You know, a lot of the music sounds the same. Nobody has their own sound. It's just like, you know, you play the radio and you hear one long record because everything is so much of the same. And I think back then it was diverse. You know, you had a lot of different sounds. And I think that equated to the type of love that we had back then. Now it's a little different, you know, and I think that's where we're going. We're getting back to that.
Music. I just feel like today in this society, I feel like music needs to come back and be as important as it was back then. The average person who wasn't even thinking about getting in the music industry knew a song and sang a song or hummed a song. The average person. Today, it seems like only people that are in the industry are into it and a few other people, you know what I'm saying? We got to make music like important again, you know?
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of
somewhere in between us or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
I didn't get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas' voice is winning all spirits.
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.